Hey guys, welcome to Bribe by Bytes. This is the final video that you're going to see in the Jenkins Basics series. So a quick recap of what we have seen in the Jenkins Basics series till now. So first, we saw how to install Jenkins on a Windows and on Ubuntu. And for Ubuntu, we saw how to bring up a Ubuntu server box on Windows using Vagrant with just 2 commands. So if you haven't watched that video yet, just click on the top right corner and check that video first. And I would strongly suggest that you watch that video first because this entire Jenkins Basics series is based on that video. Later, we saw a couple of quick videos on how to bring up SonarQube on the same Ubuntu box and then how to configure GitHub in Jenkins. And finally, we saw a complete CI video, that is continuous integration video, which had different stages like git commit, static code analysis, JUnit tests, and packaging into a particular format. So all this has been combined into a playlist, and if you haven't watched them yet, just click on the top right corner so that you can catch up. So in this video, what we are going to see is, we are going to see about the CD part, that is continuous delivery or continuous deployment. What I'm going to do in this video is, I'm just going to clone a Hello World application from GitHub, and then I'm going to package it into a WAR file, and then I'm going to deploy it on a Tomcat server. With that being said, let's begin. This is Rajesh and you are watching So first, in order to deploy a WAR file, we need Tomcat to be installed. As this is a basic series, I'm going to install Tomcat also in the same Ubuntu box, just like we did for Jenkins and SonarQube. So I'm adding an extra port forwarding rule for 9090 here because I'm going to bring up the Tomcat server on this port, not the default port 8080 as Jenkins is already running it. In order to install Tomcat, we need to check if the JDK is installed, as this is a prerequisite. As we have already installed JDK for Jenkins, it's already present. But remember, if you are going to install Tomcat on a different box, then please follow the steps from our earlier videos. Now, we should run Tomcat service as a non-root user. So, I'm going to create a new Tomcat user for this purpose. Next, let's switch to temp directory and download the Tomcat application. You can find all the necessary commands in the description given below. Okay, now we can see that we have downloaded Tomcat. Version is 9.0.41. Now I'm going to create a new directory for the Tomcat. Now I'm going to extract the tar file which we have downloaded. Now I'm going to change the permission for the Tomcat directory so that the Tomcat user can access the contents of this directory. Now I'm just gonna check if all the scripts has the execute permission in the bin directory. If not, you should add it. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we are going to run the Tomcat on the same box as our Jenkins and Sonar. So, I'm going to change the default port of the Tomcat in the server.xml file, which is present under conf directory. Now, we are going to create a daemon service for the Tomcat. A daemon service is nothing but the service which will be running continuously along with the server. Web applications constantly serves traffic, and it is important that Tomcat service which enables it should also be running all the time. So let me fetch the Java home directory on this Ubuntu server because this is needed while configuring the Tomcat service file. Now let's create the service file in the VA editor. Now if you check the contents of this file, you can see that we need to pass the value for the Java home variable. That's the reason I fetched it in the earlier step. Also, make sure that your Tomcat directory is specified correctly. So I'm going to print the service file just to confirm that everything is good. Now I'm going to reload the daemon service so that I can start the Tomcat service. So these are the commands you will be often using if you want to check the status of a particular service, in this case the Tomcat service. Now if we hit the port 9090 on our browser, we should see this home page of the Tomcat server. If you don't get this, then it means that some step in the installation process didn't happen correctly and you need to troubleshoot it. Only when you see this page, we can proceed to the next step of deploying our application on Tomcat. Okay, if you have hung around till this part, then it means that you are interested about this topic and you are liking it. Just a friendly reminder to hit the subscribe button. Now that we have successfully installed Tomcat, let's move to the deployment part. So I'm just going to clone this Hello World project, which I'm going to package as WAR file and deploy it on Tomcat. Now just a quick look at the repo and you can find the index.jsp file, which just has a simple welcome message. Once the WAR is deployed, you should be able to see this message in our browser. Now in Jenkins, I have created a new project called Hello World and now I'm going to configure it. You can fill out the description, it's optional. And under SEM, we are going to enter our GitHub project URL, which will be pulling the code from our master branch. And I'm going to build this project manually, so I'm not going to add any build triggers. Now, if we come to the actual build step, first we are going to invoke top level Maven targets, and we have the Maven version pre-configured from our previous videos. Now for the goals, all these constitute to this CI part, that is continuous integration part, which are clean, install, test, sonar and package. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a basic Jenkins setup, but if you check the actual step in an organization, all these tools will be installed in a separate servers, and this is a bit complicated setup and it will be a really overwhelming for new users. So I installed all the tools on the same Ubuntu box. The idea is to make you understand the complete CI/CD flow without much complications, as easy as possible. Now for the deployment part, once the WAR file is generated, we need to add another build step, and I'm going to keep it simple and do the deployment using a simple shell command. As our Jenkins and Tomcat is running on the same server, you can see that I'm just copying the war file from one directory to another directory. In the real-time scenario, you will be needing to do a secure copy from Jenkins to Tomcat, which is installed on a different server. Or there are other deployment methods like deploying a war file to a container by executing a Docker file, or storing your artifact, that is your war file, in Nexus or JFrog, or in some more advanced cases we can use Ansible playbooks to move the war file, which will be stored in Nexus, to the virtual machine running on the cloud. So for this demo, let's keep it simple so that we get better understanding of the workflow first. You can add any post-build actions if you need. Now let me trigger the build and wait for it to complete. As this is a simple hello world project, there are no test cases, and that is obvious, and you could also see the static code analysis being published to the Sonar. You can click on the URL and check for that. And then finally the application is packaged into a WAR file. So this is the location where the WAR file is stored, and we are going to copy that into the Tomcat directory using a simple shell command. Now I'm just going to refresh the Tomcat server just to be sure that Tomcat is still up. And now if we append the URL with our package name, we can see the contents of index.jsp on the browser. So with this video, I gave you a high-level overview of the complete CI/CD setup that we commonly use. There are many advanced topics which we are going to discuss in the upcoming sessions, like what is pipelines, what are the different types of pipelines, and how do you write a pipeline code using a Groovy language. Also, we are planning to show you a complete CI/CD setup of the production grade, where whatever the tools that we have seen till now are installed on different servers, and how do we enable the communication between those servers, and what are all the tools that is going to help us in achieving that. So lots of exciting content coming your way on various topics. Stay tuned to Bribe by Bytes, and if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you'll get notified whenever we publish a new video. That's my time. See you next time. Until then, this is Rajesh signing off.